I couldn't agree with you more. Look, let's not mix words, right? Like that day, the morning of, Trump did a interview on some sort of, it wasn't a major channel, some sort of blog, YouTube channel, whatever it was, but he did an interview and he basically said he's going to pardon anybody who does political violence in his favor, in his name. He basically said it, that he was going to pardon the January 6th insurrectionists and ongoing. Whoever kind of did this, he didn't specifically say it, but he basically said it, that he's going to pardon anybody who does political violence in his name. So that Joe Biden's speech was more of a story than that. Like the front runner for the Republican Party, one of the two major parties in this country, said that if he's president, he will pardon anybody who does political violence in his name. That wasn't the story. The story was Biden in front of two Marines, or Biden in front of a red lighting background and giving a speech. So I think the media is dropping the ball again. I will say this: I'm encouraged by the backlash that the media is getting. I don't know if it's just my timeline, John, or TikTok, and you're not on TikTok as much as I do, but the rhetoric is changing. Anybody like CNN who's changed their rhetoric in the last couple months purposefully, anybody who's kind of both siding the issue, people are they're facing backlash, and supporters and voters in this country are noticing the both sides of them, and I think the media is paying for it. The other people I think are paying for it are this idea that what is important? Is it covering the truth, or is it covering the horse race? Right. So the fact that the speech was as picked apart as it was the media's fault, because it was really, they were supposed to highlight what the speech was. Instead, it was like the red lighting and everything like that. So I want to pitch it to you about the red lighting. Now, the picture circulating online clearly was taken from, like, I dabble in the photography business. It was taken from low. The red lighting shown, it happened to be when Biden was passionate and he was kind of waving his fist. But the wide shot on TV was like there was American flags, there was red and blue lighting. The lighting was changing at times. So the image isn't as accurate as what it really was. But talk about just your background in politics and stuff like that. Like, that was clearly a choice. What do you think those conversations were like behind the scenes?
Well, I think here's the first thing that I want to say, and this is gonna sound weird. And one of the people that is really getting torched right now is Brianna Keeler from CNN, who is complaining about the use of the Marines. I'm going to say something here. I don't think she's wrong, but there's a huge but to that. She's not wrong from the standpoint of she's calling out the fact that the Marines were used in this video, or were used in this event, and they don't have a choice. Now, from a legal, ethical standpoint, this was an official event. This was not a political event. And just so you know, as someone who works with a federal official, the distinction between official and political is very important. Sometimes it's a very thin line, sometimes it's a gray line. But if something falls into the realm of official, it's completely appropriate to have the Marines there. It's completely appropriate to use certain things. Also, the president, more so than I should say, some of these rules apply to the president and other elected officials, and it doesn't apply to their staff. What do I mean by that? What I mean by that is, in many cases, an elected official is going to be giving a speech or be doing an interview that kind of covers both obvious official business and maybe some political business, but it's a gray area. But I will tell you that the elected officials can play more in that gray area than their staffs. The staffs have to be, if you are a political staff, there's only political stuff you can do. If you're official staff, there's only official stuff that you can do. Right now, there's some hybrid staff, but it gets a little tricky there. So going back to Brianna Keeler, I don't think she was wrong in her concern, but I think her concern was overstated. Her concern was overstated in that Trump did a lot of the same things, and he did it more blatantly, and he basically abused it. Biden got called out on this, and he might not apologize, he might not do anything, but I bet you that they probably won't come as close to this gray line as they came before. And so there's a lot. So it's funny that they're going hard at Biden over this. Now let's talk about the lighting and the stage setting and everything else. You always go for the most dramatic shot. And I will tell you, if you have a good comms team, especially at the presidential level or party level, it's not a bad idea to hire people like you. Why? Because people like me, the comms folks, we know how to tell a good story. We know how to do certain things. And sometimes we even know what the look is, but we don't have the technical skills that you guys do. So I'm assuming that they either hired some level of producers, or there might even be some people on staff who have some type of background in filmmaking, in TV production, because it was dramatic. It was important. But also, would you agree, and this is both the good news and bad news about the speech, we are such a polarized country right now that both sides got what they wanted out of it. The side that's with Biden got felt good that the president was out here calling out bad stuff. The side that is anti-Biden needed something that they could ridicule, that they could make fun of, that they could go ahead and have hurt feelings over. So I think both sides got what they wanted out of it. Now the question will be, how will the people, the independents, who will tell us they don't have a side, how will they react? That's going to be what I'm watching.